Hi there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the third look in my week of Cold Moon. I am dedicating an entire week of uploads to just this eyeshadow palette. Today is look number 3. My description box has the first 2 looks as well as my Ensley Rain playlist and my week of playlist because I've done this series with lots of eyeshadow palettes. So if you're interested in seeing any of that, then just stick around. I have a plan today, guys. I want to go really dark and smoky. I'm feeling very purple, and there's a super deep, purple black shimmer in the Cold Moon palette, so I think I'm going to use that, but I now have a black eye base. I got this on Amazon. I'll link it down below in the description box along with everything else. You guys know sometimes, like when I want to do my version of a smoky eye, it's like a black based lid and then a dark shimmer on top. That's just how I like to use really dark shimmers. Aside from that, I like light shimmers, honestly. But if I have a dark shimmer and it's beautiful and I want to play with it, it usually ends up in being like a super dramatic, rich, deep black based smoky eye. And if you use a regular eye primer for that, I often have trouble getting the blend right or getting the depth of pigmentation or saturation. So I thought, why don't I finally try, after what, 3 years, why don't I finally try black eye base, which I think you could get the same effect with maybe a creme gel liner or a various creamy products that give you a black foundation for the shadow to go on top. So I'm excited. I've been waiting to try this, and just now as I was preparing for this video, I thought, oh, I could use that today. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do, but I think that I'm going to put regular eye primer in the crease and up like I usually do, because I don't want the black to go that high, but I do want the skin to be primed and accept the foundation, or not the foundation, accept the shadow as well. So this is a Glamlight Icing Primer in the shade Buttercream, and I'll kind of put it in the crease and the outer area and underneath and up a little bit higher like I usually do. Are you guys enjoying my week of Cold Moon? This palette is so pretty. I was looking at the thumbnails for the first 2 videos and I was thinking, you know, there's not a ton of variety. Really, the most variety you'll get from the palette is within the shimmers, because the shimmers shift different directions. So your shimmer might lean more blue, more pink, more gold, etc. But the mattes foundationally are all kind of close. Obviously there are differences, and differences in color and also undertone, like maybe a gray undertone or a pinky mauve undertone, but there's not a lot of variety within the mattes. So the foundation of any of the looks with the Cold Moon palette is going to be pretty much the same across the board within a very small little family. It's fine, it's just, you know, that's what you get from the palette. So today's look might be the most different of this week of Cold Moon. I mean, obviously I haven't done look 4 yet, but we'll see how today goes. I have to start with some Junior Mints. I love Junior Mints. And my daughter, when it was coming up to my birthday, we went to Walmart and I had to leave the aisle so that she could go up and down trying to find me a gift. She got me Junior Mints and M&Ms. I like M&Ms too. So the way that I usually do my very deep black based smoky eye technique, it's after quite some time of experimenting with different techniques, I finally landed on using the deepest of the colored shadows in the crease and then transitioning to the black base on the lid space and blending out the colored shadow with something a little bit lighter up top. If I have a super dark shimmer, it would go on top of the black shadow. That's what I've been doing. So that's what I'm planning on doing today. This is the shade that I really want to use over here. It's called Storm Fairy. And it's really just a matter of what mattes do I want to pair it with. So there's no black matte in here, but I've got the black base that I'll be putting on the lid space. It really comes down to whether or not I want my matte colors to be cool gray leaning, or if I want them to be more pinky mauve. I think I'm going to stay in the grays. I'm just kind of feeling that right now. So in that case, my very deepest matte color is going to be, I would say this one, but I think that Mother's Night is a tiny bit deeper, so I think I'll mix these together, which I did in my first look, but today's look is going to be totally different anyway. I'll go in with kind of a medium blending brush. This is Blend Bunny B5 into Rebirth and Mother's Night. So again, this crease space is primed, and I'm just laying the color down there, dipping into the pans equally. I don't need to carry this too far onto the lid space because all of that's going to be the black primer. I'm mainly just laying this in place here, and then I'm going to soften the edge with a smaller but still fluffy brush. Blend Bunny B4, and I will pick up Cold Moon, which is like 2 shades lighter. The next lightest shade is Transformation, but I'm going to go a little bit lighter than that. And just tickle the edges, as Carrie Kay would say. Every time she says that, I crack up. I don't know what it is about that phrase. It feels almost like it's crossing a line, but not quite. Sorry, now you'll never be able to hear that without thinking that it's inappropriate. That's not how I mean it. It just cracks me up. It's just such an amusing little expression. There's a napkin on my lap, per usual. And whenever I feel like I might have picked up extra product with my brush, I just dust it against that napkin, come back and do a bit more work. I don't want to be carrying too much product up to my brow bone. Now, I think I will dip into Transformation just a little bit because it's gonna help bridge, yeah, it'll help bridge these 2 colors together. I guess there was a little bit too much of a gap, and I just want it to be smooth. Yep, that was better. Cleaning off my brush again and again. Concentric circles, dusting, dusting, buffing, buffing, buffing. Do you guys like Junior Mints? Tell me in the comments, what's your favorite candy? I love chocolate. I love chocolate and mint. I love chocolate and fruit, but not chocolate and fresh fruit, because I feel like the textures are wrong, and specifically the moisture content of the fruit mixing with like the waxiness and the richness of the chocolate. Not a fan. Okay, now it's time to try this. By the way, this brand, I don't even know what brand it is. It's just a cheap black base I found on Amazon. I'll link it below in the description box. It just says eyeshadow base. That's all it says. It doesn't have a brand name or anything. So let's put this here. I think I'll use my finger because I don't really want to get black cream on my brushes. Although I do need to wash my brushes, but the finger is going to be a lot easier to wash. So I'm spreading this over the whole lid. And then when it gets up to the crease area, I'm just going to tap it and try to keep it from making too stark of a line. Okay. I think that this is kind of a foundational design for a lot of black smoky eye tutorials. They say, you know, use a black base. And I do believe that I had tried in the past using an eyeliner, like a creamy eyeliner. And maybe it was too dry, not creamy enough, I'm not sure, but it didn't really work. But the cream base, boy, that's pigmented. The cream base is way more, it's a much more opaque covering of black. If you take a black shadow, even an excellent pitch black eyeshadow, because it's a powder base, it'll be easier maybe to blend into the other powders, but you're also going to start blending away, and it's going to be dulled with the blending process. And then you might want to pack on more, but you're still going to have a clear line. Typically, it's always been a struggle for me. So now that this is partially dry, I'm taking my brush. I'm just kind of hitting the edges right here, because I do still want to transition smoothly into the powders. And that's my only concern, is now what's the transition point between cream and powder? But I think it's fine. I'm holding the mirror really weird because I don't want it to block you guys. But when it comes to smoky eyes like this, a black base, the blending is really important, so I don't want to do it all off camera in case you guys are curious about the process. And keep in mind, I'm still learning too. This is not an eye look that I'm amazing at, but it is one that I've gotten better at over time. Okay, now let's take this Storm Fairy shade, which I think is a perfect match to my earrings. Okay, it's looking a lot more blue silver, isn't it? Ooh, how interesting. Okay. Or there's also Snow Fairies. Am I changing my plan like middle of the video? No, this is Snow Fairies, and it's gorgeous. I think I used that in one of the other looks this week already, but I'm going to take Storm Fairies, and I'm just going to tap on top of this base, not rubbing, don't want to smear cream product anywhere, don't want to mess up my base, just tapping and getting another junior mint. Yeah, you can even see on my hand, can you see my fingerprint through the shadow? Like a lot of the product came off the finger and onto the eye. It transferred really nicely. There's hardly any product left on my finger. I've done a look like this recently. What was it? Ordinarily, I would put matching mattes on my lower lash line and just make it quite smoky and dark, but I know that I recently did a look kind of like this. I may even have been wearing the same earrings, I don't remember, where it was just a super dark, smoky purple look, and it was so pretty. But because it was kind of recent, and I think it was comparable, I'll pop a picture on the screen when I find it. I think that I'm going to switch things up a little bit and actually put a full shimmer lower lash line, because the shimmers in this palette are amazing, right? So let's just play with them. Maybe one I haven't used yet. Saturnalia has a kind of a blue-purple shift, so let's play with that one. That's this right here. But first, I'm going to put some mattes down as just a foundation. I've taken some Cold Moon and some Transformation, and I'm popping these into the lower lash line. Trying to decide if I want to do an inner corner highlight or if I want to keep it very smoky and black. And I will have to let you guys know later in the editing process as far as whether or not I get creasing with this black primer. I'm really curious about that because honestly, I don't get terrible creasing with these Hensley Range shimmers, despite the fact that they're quite creamy and kind of oily. I don't get terrible creasing with them. I've gotten worse creasing with Beauty Bay and the Serenity palette from Cosmic Beauty. But I do get a little bit of creasing over time. I mean, I have some hood in my eyes and I have oily lids, and after 10, 12, 14 hours, there's gonna be a bit of creasing, but it's not terrible. So I'm really curious to see if this helps the creasing at all, prevents it, or if it's just the same. So I'll try to remember also when I'm editing to put a little comment for you guys telling you how that wore over time. And if you didn't want to put a shimmer on top, you could just have an incredibly intense black smoky eye. You just wouldn't want to do that if it's going to crack. I'm going to have to pick up Saturnalia with a very small detail blending brush because I tried a flat brush and it wasn't playing ball. It's the kind of shimmer that is a little bit putty-like and it squishes around in the pan as you chase after it. Also, though, I want precision because it's the lower lash line. There's not much space. And this is going to be giving me some precision as I load up kind of the side of the brush, and even it's picking up shadow on the ferrule of the brush, the actual plastic piece. I'm okay with that. For this brush, for this application, for this area, I'm okay with it because I'll be able to touch that on my skin as well and sort of tap it along. But this shimmer would definitely prefer to be picked up with a finger, honestly. All right, so Saturnalia, I did spray it on my brush, and now I will lay it down on the entire lower lash line. It's quite shifty, and I want to see which directions it goes. Right now I see a lot of gold. It's quite a contrast now with my upper lid area, isn't it? It's because there's a lot of gold showing in here, but then when I turn my head, I see purple. Do you guys see a shift on camera? When I'm looking directly at the mirror, I see lots of gold. It looks really warm toned. But as I move my head away, then I see purple in a different angle. I think I'll grab Winter Solstice for an inner corner. No, well, I was gonna grab Winter Solstice for an inner corner highlight here, but it's still kind of too dark for me for an inner corner. So this is really the best inner corner highlight in the palette, unless you're going with a shimmer. So this is Mauya. And I'm just liberally tapping that right here. Okay, off I go to do the other side. Be right back. All right, this is the look now that everything is done. Let me first tell you what I did to finish off, and then I'll give you some thoughts. In my waterline, I tried to use this very light buttery color from ColourPop, but color is it? Extra Frosting, I think? Yeah, extra frosting, but it's all dried out. It wasn't really working anymore. So instead I used Fade Away from their Creme de Liner series as well. I do have mascara on. I did a tiny little inner corner wing or inner flick. And then on my lips, I am wearing the Italia Deluxe liner in the shade 1057 Black Currant, topped with the NYX Butter Gloss Devil's Food Cake. And then on my face, I have a little bit of blush from ColourPop in the shade Matchmaker. My brain stopped for a second there. And the Aurora Glow Kit from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I used Spectra, the purple. That is everything. That's everything I'm wearing. Again, check the description box if you'd like to see links for anything which is still available. And now you may notice that this side is a little bit messier. I had a bit more fallout over here, and when I was tapping the black base into the lid space, I got a little carried away. I think it's because I was using my left hand and I usually use my right and I kind of cross over, but I thought, hey, if I use my left, I don't have to cross over and maybe I'll get more precision. No, it was the opposite. In fact, I kind of smeared it higher than it was supposed to go, and once it was down, it didn't want to budge. So I had a little bit over here and a little bit kind of down this direction with trying to get the outer corner. Anyway, there was a bit of a mess over there. I had to try to clean up, so hopefully in the final look it's not quite so evident, but I think it's really pretty. It's definitely similar in a way to the one that I was mentioning earlier until we get to the lower lash line, and the lower lash line is totally different. And I love that the lower lash line is pulling way more gold than I expected it to. I really thought that it would be more blue purple, but all of the shifty shades in this palette, which is most of the shimmers, not all, but most of them, they're very shifting. They really do change to several different colors, and depending on what you're pairing them with and your own skin undertones, you're gonna get a lot of dynamics in the look. I was quite surprised, pleasantly delighted with the lower lash line and how gold it turned out, in contrast with the deep, rich, blacky sorts of purples of the upper lid space. But then there's also a bit of blue happening as well. It's pretty. I would love to hear your thoughts, of course. Do remember to check the description box for the first 2 looks in this week of Cold Moon, as well as my Ensley Rain playlist and my my week of playlist. I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this content and you want to see more. I am anticipating 1 more look for the week of Cold Moon, so keep an eye on my channel for that. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.